you have ever tried to declutter anything, you have probably agonized over an item and just not been sure what to do with it. So in this video, I want to give you some questions that are going to make it much easier to make that decision. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura, and decluttering can already be a tough enough job without coming across something that really slows you down and breaks your momentum. So I have 6 questions for you that I think are going to make it a lot easier for you to decide whether you should keep something or whether it's time to let it go. And I'm not going to cover any of the standards, do you love it, do you need it, do you use it, questions, because I think those have been done. These instead are more in-depth questions. They're for those times when you are really agonizing and really struggling with a decision. And the very first one is it the physical item itself that is important to you, or is it what that physical item represents? Very often it's not actually the physical thing, it's the memories that it evokes, it's the things that it reminds you of, the places, the people, the time in your life. Sometimes it is the actual physical thing, you know, it's artwork that your kid made, or you know, something that was gifted to you from someone very close to you. So sometimes it is the item itself, but simply asking yourself, is it the thing, or is it actually something that the thing evokes? That can help you make a decision, because if it's not the actual physical thing, there may be some other ways that you can capture what that thing represents without actually needing to keep the physical item itself. For example, if you just took a photograph of it and kept that photograph, that would be enough to kind of spark those memories. If it's a piece of paper or photograph or something like that, you could scan it and save a digital copy. Or you could just take some time and kind of journal about those memories, write them down. So you may not need to actually keep the physical item itself, you may just need to keep some other form of memory or reminder. So is it the item itself, or is it what the item represents, and could you preserve that in some other form? The second question then is, does it elicit any negative feelings? This one helped me let go of so many things. A lot of you will know that after I had my daughter, I suffered from postnatal depression, and it was just a dark time. So a lot of her baby things actually came with bad memories. They reminded me of particularly hard days, particularly tough times. So even though technically they also reminded me of her and when she was a baby, and obviously I love her and she's great, but every time I looked at them, there was just that sadness. You know, they were kind of, not, I don't want to say tainted, but there was just like that tinge of sorrow attached to them. And this wasn't true for all of the items, but there were particular ones, particular outfits, for example, particular, you know, toys, things like that, that just reminded me of a particularly hard time. When I realized that all they were doing was making me remember the bad times, it was much easier for me to let go of that stuff and only keep the things that reminded me of the good times and just reminded me of my daughter when she was teeny tiny and, you know, not talking back and slamming doors. But when you are looking at an item and struggling to make a decision, ask yourself, you know, when I look at this thing, does it make me feel bad in any way? Because those are not the types of things that you want to be reminded of. Your sentimental items, or the things that you keep in your home, should make you feel happy, make you feel safe and secure. If they don't, it's time to let those go. And there may be situations, like was the case with me with my daughter's stuff, where yes, they have some good memories attached to, but if there's any sort of overwhelming negative feeling, make your peace and let it go. Try and capture the good times and say goodbye to the bad times. Now, this next one also helped me part with a lot of stuff, and that is, if you knew where this item was going to next, would that make it easier for you to let go of it? Another example for me was a lot of my daughter's toys and books and things like that. I find it very hard to donate that stuff, even though I know she's outgrown it, even though I know that I don't want to just keep every single thing she has ever owned. It can still be a little bit of an emotional wrench. But before we moved from Ireland to the US, I donated a lot of her stuff to a local school, and just seeing how happy they were to get that stuff, that made it so much easier for me to part with that stuff. You know, sometimes donating things, while it is great, when it's kind of anonymous and you don't really know where that thing is going to end up, it can make it tricky because you think, there's still that separation anxiety with it. Whereas when you actually picture it in its new home or its new place, or, giving it new life or whatever, that can make it so much easier. So when you're looking at an item, think, if I had a really good friend who was excited by this item and I knew that they were going to take care of it and, look after it and use it and love it, would that make it easier for you to part with it? Or if you knew that it was going to a family in need and it was going to make their lives much better, would that make it easier for you to finally let go of this thing? And it's the same with recycling. If you really think about the new life that this item could have and how it could be reused in so many different ways by somebody else, that can really take the sting out of donating or recycling or letting something go. Yes, there will be some things that you will have to trash, and that is unfortunate, but for everything else, picture the new life that thing will have. Picture it making someone else happy, and that will often make it much easier for you to say your goodbyes and pass it on. So if you knew where it was going, would that make it easier for you to part with it? The fourth question then is, if something happened to it, it was stained or broken or chipped or something, what would it take to fix or replace it? How much would it cost? How much of your time and energy would it take up? How much kind of elbow grease and effort would you have to put into it? And are you willing to do that? Items over a lifetime, even if they're not used, can deteriorate and their quality can decline over time. So are you willing to put in the work that is necessary to maintain this item? And if something did happen to it, are you going to put in the time, energy, effort, money that it will cost to maintain it, fix it, replace it, repair it, all of those types of things? How much are you really willing to invest in this item? And obviously a kind of follow-on question from that is it even replaceable? That may make the difference between whether or not you can actually declutter it. At this stage, you also want to be asking yourself if this item fits in with the lifestyle that you currently have, if you like it, or the lifestyle that you are trying to create. So picture the life that you would love to lead, picture the kinds of activities you would love to do, how you would like your home to look, and does this item fit in with that overall feeling? For example, if you are going for a very kind of maybe bohemian look, lots of cream, some texture, plants, things like that, and you have an item that is very like shouty, loud, bright, that is not fitting in with the feeling that you want for your home. On the flip side, if you are going for very bright, very colorful, and you have something that is muted, dull, that you would consider boring, that is a symbol of something that maybe does not belong in the life that you are trying to create for yourself and the home, the environment that you are trying to surround yourself with. If you are trying to create a lifestyle that is very active and outdoorsy, that's a sign that it's time to rethink the things that are encouraging you to stay indoors, to keep you immobile and to keep you sitting or lying down. I'm not saying, get rid of your bed or anything, but look at the things in your home and ask yourself, are they contributing in a positive way to how you want to live your life and how you want your space to feel? I used to often struggle with this because there are so many different styles that I like, when it comes to home decor, but also when it comes to clothing. I like lots of different things, but I've realized it's not great for me to have all of those things in my life because it just becomes very overwhelming. So while it's great to like lots of different things, I think you really need to hone in a little bit more on what is best suited to your life. You can love and admire lots of different styles, but when it comes to your home and yourself, it is best to kind of pick one or two styles that you think are going to work better for you. So does the item fit in with the lifestyle that you would like to lead? Is it part of the vision that you have for your life and your home? And next then is, what would you do if you did not have that item? If it got lost or stolen or broken or damaged beyond repair, what's the worst that would happen? You know, how badly would your life really be affected, and how often would it be affected? What I mean by that is, if you have something and you use it on a pretty regular basis and you declutter it and you don't have any replacement, or you do have a replacement but it's just not quite up to scratch, then your life is obviously going to be inconvenienced on a regular basis, and that is going to become very frustrating over time. Whereas if you have an alternative that's, you know, not great but will do in a pinch, and you only need to use it once a year or very infrequently, that's probably something that you can put up with for the sake of saving yourself some space. Maybe it's a big roasting dish or something, and by decluttering it, you open up so much space in your kitchen, and for the one time a year that you use it, you have another dish that will stand in a pinch. Not ideal, but for the amount of times you use it, it will do the job. So try to really get creative with it. If you didn't have this item and then it came to a time where you wanted it or you needed it, what would you do? Are there other kind of tools that would do the same job? The reality is, when you really think about it, there are very few things in this world that we really need. Yes, they might be a little bit more convenient, but if we didn't have them, you know, what else could you use instead? Do you have other ways of kind of getting around it? So again, what would you do if you did not have that item? Now, there are loads more questions you can ask, so I've put together a free decluttering workbook for you. It has got these questions and lots more. It has got, you know, some general decluttering advice, do's and don'ts. It has got a list of some quick wins that you can get if you've only got 5 or 10 minutes and you want to tackle a space. All of that and more is in this free workbook. I will leave the link in the description where you can grab your copy and you can start or continue your decluttering journey. Go grab your free copy, and I will see you in the next video. Go raibh míle maith agaibh, agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán!